Straight cash, homie. The Red Raiders continue to add to the trenches via the transfer portal, this time with the addition of Colorado transfer senior Cash Cleveland. In today's video, we'll discuss how he fits into the current group of Texas Tech offensive linemen, as well as, hey, who's entered the portal recently for Texas Tech and why there's some buzz around Micah Hudson. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning in to today's video. Without further ado, let's just jump right into the breaking news for Texas Tech football, and that is the addition of Cash Cleveland. We are talking about a guy that, when you look at everything, it's a little interesting from a Texas Tech vantage point in the sense that, hey, this is a guy coming into a position where you look at it, and it looked like there may have been a clear-cut starter in Sheridan Wilson. Now it looks like there may be some competition. Let's go over Cleveland, though, and how many snaps he played as a true freshman last year out in Boulder for Coach Prime and the Buffaloes. He played 296 snaps, 234 passing block snaps, only allowing 1 sack and 1 QB hurry during that time. Now, he is a walk-on there at Colorado, and he started his first game against Utah. Now, Texas Tech, you look at it and everything like that, they've lost a few guys to the portal, but Cleveland was a guy that was named an All-American, a freshman All-American to be exact, by multiple publications, including 247 Sports, On3, Pro Football Focus, after playing in 6 games with 4 starts as a true freshman walk-on for the Buffaloes. Now, he is a 3-star recruit, according to On3, coming out of IMG Academy. Now, we'll go ahead and look at where he's from, and this is the interesting part in the sense that, hey, he is returning to Texas in that regard, but he did play at IMG. You look at the recruiting profile according to 247 Sports, you see it right there in Bradenton, Florida. He's 6'3", 290, probably closer to 300 now in terms of his college weight, but he was ranked as really not that high of a transfer portal target, but the Red Raiders had a high grade on him in the sense that he was the top priority as soon as he got into the portal, okay? That's just the reality of it. And he's a guy now where I think it's uber interesting for Texas Tech from the vantage point of what does this offensive line look like going into the 2025 season, most notably at that center spot, okay? Realistically, I think Sheridan Wilson probably has the upper hand, but let's run through the actual offensive line in terms of the guys we feel pretty good about as it stands right now. Obviously, they can go add another guy or two in the spring portal window, but as it stands right now, this is the offensive line. And there's a few pieces on here where I'd be pretty surprised if they're healthy, they're not the starters. Let's start from left and go to the right side. So at the left side, it's University of North Carolina transfer, started his career at UNT. That's Howard Sampson. I would be shocked if he is healthy, if he is not the starting left tackle for the Red Raiders in game number 1 in a year where Texas Tech has a lot of high expectations. We'll talk about that throughout the summer. Then you've got left guard Vinny Scurry. I would be surprised if he's not the starting left guard. Now he's coming back from a medical redshirt season. Maybe there's a little leeway there in terms of him being back to 100%, but I would expect him to be the starting left guard. We'll skip center for a second, but Cash is in that, discussion at least. At right guard, you've got Hunter Zambrano, a guy that obviously transferred in and was highly touted, one of those guys that multiple high Power 5 schools wanted, but Texas Tech came in. They landed him. He will more than likely be the starting right guard for Texas Tech. Now at right tackle, I think that's where Jados is going to be. Will Jados, I think that he comes in, he brings along Reggie Virgil, or Reggie Virgil brings along him from Miami of Ohio. I think as it stands right now, and from everything that I've heard from guys that are really close to the Texas Tech program, they really like Jados as the right tackle. Doesn't mean that they might move him off in terms of if they add another guy via the portal, but right now, I think he's your starting right tackle for Texas Tech in game number 1 of the 2025 season. Now let's pivot back to center. This is where things get interesting, in my opinion, in the standpoint of I think there's 3 guys in the discussion for the starting center spot. I think the aforementioned Sheridan Wilson. I think you've got Davon Carter, who came back and used his JUCO ruling year to potentially play the center spot. They were in a battle, right? And then now you add Cash Cleveland. I think if you ask me, I think it's a wide open competition. And the reason Texas Tech landed Cash Cleveland is obviously there's probably some NIL involved, but they offered him a scholarship too. And that was something he didn't have at Colorado. As I mentioned, he was a walk-on, right? So now you have this availability in the sense of Cash Cleveland with 3 years of eligibility left has the potential, right, in the sense of being your starting center, not only in 2025, but long-term. Am I saying for sure he's going to be your starting center? I am not. But I do think there is going to be a competition between him, Sheridan Wilson, and then Davon Carter. I think that's what's happening. Now, the overarching theme for Texas Tech in the offensive line, they have a good problem on their hands, right? In the sense of they have something that Texas Tech from an offensive line standpoint has not had in a very long time, and it's depth. I know that was something that we're not accustomed to in terms of Red Raider Nation. We're not accustomed to that, right? They have guys on the interior now that have experience, right? Davon Carter, he is in his 6th year of college football, right? You also have a guy in Sheridan Wilson. He has started quite a bit of games at Texas Tech. Cash Cleveland, I get it. He's on the younger side, but he was very productive for Colorado last year, especially in pass pro, and that was what they were known for, okay? So now you have 3 guys in the interior of your offensive line that you feel comfortable playing if you need to. God forbid there's an injury, right? So you have that aspect of things. Then you have some younger guys on the outside, whether that's, JP, whether it's Ellis Davis, other guys as well, right? Like you have multiple guys that you feel, okay, they're showing signs of they can play at this level. And that's really all you can ask for, because if we're being honest about it, I know a lot of people have gotten upset. Oh my gosh, some of these Joey Maguire hits in terms of, the guys that we thought were going to be good from the high school ranks on the offensive line haven't hit yet. People, I'm telling you right now, the hardest position to develop in college football is the offensive line. Any position you want, it is the hardest one. It is what everyone covets, what everyone needs. It is hard as hell to develop them. Texas Tech, could they have been better with that? Absolutely. But now you've got Coach McGuire, the offensive line coach, right? Not Joey McGuire, Clay McGuire, right? On the offensive line, hopefully he can develop some guys moving forward. But let's transition now in terms of some guys that have entered the portal and you probably need to know about the latest on. And really the most notable from the standpoint of everything on the portal entry for Texas Tech is the fact that you have Joseph Adedire going into the portal. So you have that. That's the big news on that front in the sense that, okay, you have Joseph Adedire, a guy that he's had some injuries, right, at Texas Tech. That's fine. But he was thought to be a part of that edge group, and instead he will enter his name into the portal. I believe he has 2 years of eligibility left. Maybe Texas Tech adds another portal piece in terms of the edge group. Maybe they feel good about it. But I think that you feel really good about the 2 starters you have, at least in theory, from a Romello Heights standpoint, the Georgia Tech transfer, and obviously David Bailey, the guy that Texas Tech landed later on in the process in the spring portal window from Stanford after they fired their coach out in SoCal. Well, I guess that's actually Northern California. Apologies. Didn't go to school for geography. Okay. Before we head out of here, though, I do want to put this on your screen real fast. Yep. That's a thing again. Yep. That is a thing again. On threes, Pete Nakos and Wilt Fong have logged predictions for former 5-star wide receiver Micah Hudson to transfer to Texas Tech. Back to Texas Tech. And again, somebody in the comments will say, RC, you're late to this stuff. Well, we got a 9-to-5 job over here, homie. Sometimes it takes a while to make these videos. That being said, I thought this was known for a long time, so I didn't really talk about it too much. I brought it up, I think, like 2 months ago here on the channel that I thought this was a real possibility. Now there's no announcement at the time of this recording, and the video is coming out on Thursday, April 24th. Happy NFL Draft Day to each and every one of y'all that celebrate. But it looks like Micah Hudson will be back in the 806. Nothing official yet at the time of this recording. Now, I do want to talk about this. I don't think anybody should have crazy high expectations because I don't think we're going to know anything from the standpoint of Micah Hudson in the sense that, okay, like, what's his role? I think he's going to have to earn every damn thing he wants, okay? He's going to have to be better about learning the playbook. He's going to have to be more dedicated in terms of that. I think he will be in the standpoint of, obviously, the talent is there. He's going to have to work his way back into the rotation of wide receiver, the stable of wide receivers that Texas Tech has. But Joey McGuire and crew know this roster better than anybody. They're in the trenches in terms of learning what these guys are about. And I think it tells you a lot about Texas Tech and their viewpoint of Micah Hudson and everything from that standpoint in getting him back into the program. I think it's pivotal from that standpoint that Joey McGuire and crew trust that these things could happen for Micah Hudson. So overall, again, that sounds like it's going to happen. Nothing official yet at the time of this recording. We have 2 official updates for Texas Tech football in the sense that Joseph Adedire has entered the portal, but the big breaking news in terms of a positive for the Red Raiders is that of Cash Cleveland, the Colorado center, has committed to the Scarlet and Black, a name that I think could be in Texas Tech, in terms of the interior of the offensive line for years to come. 3 years of eligibility remaining, a freshman All-American, according to On3, 247, and, Pro Football Focus. So you got a good one there. We'll see how it shakes out in terms of the starting center, but his name will be in the mix for sure. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell for more 100% free content surrounding your Red Raider football team and Texas Tech men's basketball. Whether it's on the gridiron or the hardwood, we've got you covered. And, we've got you covered with the portal too. So if you want 100% free content surrounding your Red Raiders, follow those 3 simple steps, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. I'm RC Maxfield reminding you, as always, stay safe and Reckham Tech.